It was a peaceful afternoon, and the group of friends had gathered by the pool, enjoying the warm sun and the gentle breeze. Laughter and casual conversations filled the air until an unexpected visitor disrupted the calm. Out of the shadows at the edge of the yard, a scruffy, mud-covered dog emerged, its eyes wide with intelligence and urgency. At first, the group thought it was just another stray, hungry or looking for water, but something about the dog's demeanor was different. It moved with purpose, its gaze fixed on the shimmering pool as if it knew something the others didn't. Without hesitation, the dog trotted closer, circling the edge of the pool, sniffing and pacing as though searching for something unseen. Then, in a move that left everyone stunned, the dog suddenly leapt into the water, its splash breaking the stillness and drawing gasps from the group. They watched in awe as the dog swam with determination, diving beneath the surface and emerging moments later with an object clutched tightly in its jaws. It was an old, rusted box, water dripping from its sides as the dog paddled back to the edge. Intrigued and bewildered, the group carefully took the box, prying it open to reveal its contents: ancient coins, photographs, and a weathered journal filled with handwritten entries. As they sifted through the items, the story of a long-lost life began to unfold, connecting them to a forgotten past. But what struck them most wasn't just the discovery. It was the dog itself. From being a seemingly abandoned wanderer, it had become the hero of the day, bringing with it a mystery that no one could have anticipated. The moment the dog appeared, the group froze, their attention instantly drawn to the unexpected visitor. It was thin, its fur matted with mud and leaves, and its ribs faintly visible under its scruffy coat. Yet, despite its appearance, the dog didn't seem afraid. It stood at the edge of the yard, its tail wagging cautiously, as though trying to decide if it could trust the group. Someone whispered, "Where did it come from?" while others watched in silence, unsure whether to approach or wait. The dog's gaze darted between the people and the pool, its body tense but not aggressive. It wasn't begging for food or water. It seemed to have another reason for being there. As the group exchanged glances, the dog slowly began to move. Step by step, it approached the pool, its head low and nose twitching as it sniffed the air. The friends noticed its focused movements, and one of them softly said, "What's it doing?" The dog's behavior was unlike anything they had seen before. It wasn't wandering aimlessly or showing signs of distress. Instead, it seemed fixated on the water, as though something unseen was pulling it closer. The group stayed still, not wanting to startle the animal. Someone quietly grabbed their phone to record the moment, sensing that this was no ordinary stray encounter. The dog stopped at the pool's edge, its reflection shimmering in the water as it peered in. For a moment, it looked hesitant, its ears twitching back and forth as if it were listening to something no one else could hear. Then, with a sudden burst of energy, the dog leapt forward, its paws breaking the surface with a loud splash. Gasps filled the air as the dog swam with surprising strength, its body cutting through the water with determination. One of the friends shouted, "Is it okay? Should we help it?" But the dog seemed unfazed, diving beneath the surface and vanishing for what felt like an eternity. The group watched, their hearts pounding, waiting for it to resurface. When it finally emerged, clutching something tightly in its mouth, the stunned silence turned into an eruption of curiosity and awe. The group stared in stunned silence as the dog resurfaced, water streaming from its fur, a strange object clamped firmly in its jaws. At first, it was hard to make out what the dog had retrieved. Was it just a random piece of debris? A toy someone had left behind? But as the dog paddled toward the edge of the pool, determination etched into every stroke. It became clear that this was no ordinary find. One of the friends leaned closer, carefully reaching out to help the dog out of the water. "What is that?" someone murmured, the tone a mix of curiosity and disbelief. The dog climbed onto the deck, its body soaked and trembling slightly, but it held its head high, refusing to release its grip on the object. Its tail wagged faintly, almost as if it understood the significance of its actions. The group gathered around as the dog finally let the object fall to the ground with a soft thud. It was an old, rusted box, its surface mottled with years of decay. Water dripped from its edges, pooling around it, and the lock, though corroded, still held the box tightly shut. For a moment no one spoke, the air thick with the weight of anticipation. "Where did this even come from?" one of them finally asked, but no one had an answer. One of the friends crouched down, hesitating for a moment before picking up the box. It was heavier than it looked, the rusted metal cool and rough to the touch. "Do you think there's anything inside?" another asked, their voice filled with nervous excitement. The dog, now lying on the ground and panting heavily, watched intently, as though waiting for the next move. "Only one way to find out," someone said, grabbing a tool to pry open the lock. The group huddled closer, their eyes fixed on the box as the lock gave way with a reluctant creak. The lid groaned as it was lifted, revealing what lay within. Gasps and murmurs filled the air as they saw the contents. A small stack of aged photographs, faded but still intact, a few tarnished coins, and a weathered journal tied with a brittle piece of string. "This is incredible," someone whispered, their fingers gently picking up the journal. The pages crackled softly as they were opened, revealing handwritten entries, the ink smudged but legible. Each item told a story, one that had been hidden away for years. But how had the dog known it was there? And why had it gone to such lengths to bring it to the surface? The group exchanged looks, a mix of amazement and confusion washing over them. The dog, meanwhile, wagged its tail, its job seemingly done, as if it had been waiting for this moment all along. As the group sifted through the contents of the box, the weight of the discovery began to sink in. The photographs, though faded, captured moments from what appeared to be decades ago. A young couple smiled brightly in one, their arms wrapped around each other against the backdrop of an old farmhouse. In another, a group of children played near a tree, their laughter frozen in time. Each image seemed to carry a story, but without context, they were like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be assembled. The journal, however, was what truly captivated everyone. Carefully untying the brittle string, they opened its pages, revealing handwritten entries in neat cursive. The ink had faded in places, and water damage had blurred some words, but much of it was still readable. "It's dated 1952, someone said, pointing to the top of a page. The entries described daily life, simple yet poignant moments. A picnic by the lake, a new dress bought for a special occasion, and notes about the struggles of maintaining the family farm. One entry stood out. "Listen to this," one of the friends said, reading aloud. "I hid everything important in the box by the water. If we ever need it, it'll be there, safe." The group fell silent, glancing at the dog, who lay nearby, its ears perked up as if it understood every word. "Do you think this is the box?" someone asked, their voice tinged with awe. The coins added another layer to the mystery. They weren't just ordinary currency. They were old and rare, possibly valuable. "These could be worth a fortune," one friend said, examining them closely. But it wasn't just about the monetary value. The discovery felt deeply personal, as though they had stumbled upon a fragment of someone's life, preserved through time and fate. As they pieced together what little information they had, questions filled the air. Who had written the journal? Why had they hidden these items in the first place? And how had this dog, a stray that no one had seen before, managed to find it? It was as though the animal had been guided by something beyond comprehension, drawn to the box for reasons none of them could explain. While the group speculated, the dog remained calm, watching them with quiet satisfaction. It was as if the dog had done its part, unearthing a secret that had remained buried for years. This wasn't just a random act. It felt purposeful, almost destined. The friends couldn't shake the feeling that they had been chosen to uncover this story, with the dog as their unlikely guide. The group sat in awe, the weight of their discovery sinking in as they carefully examined the contents of the rusted box. The journal's fragile pages, filled with stories of a life lived decades ago, painted a picture of someone deeply connected to the land and the people they loved. One friend read aloud an entry about planting an apple tree for future generations, another about nights spent under the stars with loved ones. Each word seemed to breathe life into the forgotten memories, as though the person who wrote them was speaking across time. But the mystery deepened when they flipped to the final pages. There, the handwriting became hurried, almost desperate. "I don't know what's coming," one of the friends read aloud. "But if anyone finds this, please know that these are pieces of my heart. Keep them safe." The group exchanged uneasy glances. What had prompted this person to bury their most treasured possessions by the water? And why had they been left undiscovered for so long? The photographs told their own stories. One in particular caught everyone's attention, a black and white image of the journal's author standing proudly beside a dog. It wasn't the same dog, but there was an uncanny resemblance. "That's strange," someone muttered, holding the photo closer. "Could this be a coincidence, or is it possible this dog is somehow connected?" The thought sent a shiver through the group, the possibility too surreal to ignore. As they discussed the implications, the dog, now resting contentedly nearby, seemed completely at peace. Someone crouched next to it, stroking its wet fur, whispering, "Where did you come from? How did you know?" The dog tilted its head slightly, as if listening, its calm demeanor adding to its aura of mystery. It was as if the animal had been waiting for this exact moment, not by accident, but by design. They decided to dig deeper into the story behind the box, reaching out to neighbors and searching online records. What they uncovered stunned them even more. The land where they now stood had once belonged to a family who disappeared under mysterious circumstances decades ago. The journal's author, it seemed, had written these entries just before they vanished, leaving behind no trace except for the hidden box. The group couldn't shake the feeling that the dog's sudden appearance and its discovery of the box were more than mere chance. It was as though the dog had been sent to guide them, to bring closure to a story that had been left untold for far too long. Whether it was fate, coincidence, or something beyond their understanding, one thing was clear. This dog had changed their lives forever. The days that followed were a whirlwind of research, emotions, and reflection for the group. The rusted box and its contents had sparked a mystery they felt compelled to solve, and the dog, now a constant presence, seemed to have become part of their lives as if it had always belonged. They named it Echo, a nod to the way it had brought voices from the past into their present. Every clue they uncovered about the box's origins deepened their connection to the story. The journal led them to archives and old records, where they pieced together the life of its author, a woman named Eleanor, who had lived on the property in the 1950s. Eleanor had been known for her resilience and kindness, a pillar of her small community. But tragedy had struck when her family disappeared without explanation, leaving behind only whispers of loss and unanswered questions. The group began to see their discovery as more than a coincidence. It felt like a responsibility, as though they had been entrusted to honor Eleanor's memory and share her story. They decided to document everything: the journal entries, the photographs, the coins, and even Echo's inexplicable role in unearthing it all. The story was too extraordinary to keep to themselves. Meanwhile, Echo continued to amaze them. Its behavior seemed almost supernatural at times. It often lingered by the pool, staring into the water as if drawn to something beneath the surface. When the group gathered to discuss their findings, Echo would sit quietly among them, its calm presence a source of comfort and inspiration. It was hard to ignore the feeling that the dog was somehow linked to Eleanor's legacy, though how or why remained a mystery. As they shared the story with others, they were met with a wave of astonishment and support. Locals recalled hearing fragments of Eleanor's tale, but had never known the full truth. Some even visited the property, eager to see the box and meet Echo, the dog that had brought it all to light. The story spread far and wide, resonating with people who marveled at the idea of fate and the unbreakable ties between past and present. The group couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed since that quiet afternoon by the pool. What had begun as an ordinary day had turned into an extraordinary journey, all thanks to a dog that seemed abandoned, but had, in reality, come with a purpose. Echo had brought them more than a story. It had brought them a sense of wonder, connection, and a reminder that even in the most unexpected moments, life can surprise us in ways we never imagined. As the story reached its conclusion, the group gathered one last time by the pool, the place where it all began. Echo lay comfortably at their feet, its eyes half closed, seemingly content with its role in unraveling the mystery. The box sat on a table nearby, carefully preserved along with its precious contents. What had once been a rusted relic hidden beneath the water was now a symbol of connection between past and present, between strangers and friends, and between the group and the remarkable dog that had brought them together. The final journal entry remained on their minds, the words etched into their memories. If anyone finds this, please know that these are pieces of my heart. Keep them safe. They had done more than just keep Eleanor's treasures safe. They had given her story a voice, ensuring it would be remembered for generations. It was a powerful reminder that even the smallest fragments of the past could hold immense meaning when brought to light. Echo, now a permanent part of their lives, had transformed from a stray into a beloved companion. Its mysterious actions still left them wondering, was it instinct, coincidence, or something greater? Whatever the truth, they all agreed on one thing. Echo had been more than just a dog that day. It had been a guide, a messenger, and a hero. The group decided to leave the box and its contents in a place of honor, a small local museum that celebrated the history of their town. As they handed over the items, they couldn't help but feel a sense of closure and pride. Eleanor's story would no longer be forgotten, and Echo's role in uncovering it would be shared with everyone who visited. As the sun began to set, casting golden light over the backyard, the group reflected on how much had changed since that day. What started as a quiet afternoon by the pool had become an extraordinary journey, one that taught them about fate, resilience, and the power of unexpected connections. Looking down at Echo, they smiled, their hearts full of gratitude. "You knew, didn't you?" one of them said softly, scratching behind its ears. The dog's tail wagged, its eyes shining with the kind of understanding that needed no explanation. With the story now told and the mystery unraveled, they couldn't help but wonder how many other untold stories lay waiting to be discovered, and how many of them might be revealed, not by human hands, but by the unlikeliest of heroes. Their lives would never be the same, thanks to an abandoned dog, a hidden box, and a secret that had brought the past back to life. And as they shared one last laugh by the pool, they knew this was more than just a story. It was a reminder that even the simplest moments could lead to the most incredible adventures. As the group stood together, the evening sky casting a soft, amber glow over the backyard, they reflected on everything they had learned, everything they had uncovered. The box, once hidden away beneath the water, had been more than just an object. It had been a key to a forgotten world, a bridge between lives that had long passed. And Echo, the stray dog that had appeared out of nowhere, had led them on a journey they would never forget. There were still questions, of course. Questions about why Echo had come to them that day, why it had known exactly where to find the box, and whether the strange connection between the dog and the past was mere coincidence or something more. But as they stood there, the answers didn't matter as much as the story they had brought to light. Eleanor's life, once buried under layers of time and mystery, had been rediscovered in a way that none of them could have imagined. They had not only unearthed pieces of history, but had also gained a deeper understanding of the value of memory, of preserving the stories of those who came before. It was a humbling realization that sometimes the smallest of actions could change the course of a life or a story forever. The group promised each other that they would never forget how it all began, That quiet day by the pool, when a dog had appeared out of nowhere, leading them to something far bigger than any of them could have imagined. They would carry the memory of Eleanor's legacy with them, and they would continue to share the story of how an abandoned dog had become the hero of an extraordinary tale. And as the group slowly made their way back inside, leaving the remnants of their adventure behind them, they couldn't shake the feeling that there were still untold stories waiting to be uncovered. Echo, with its quiet presence, had proven that sometimes the most powerful stories don't come from what we already know, but from what's hidden just beneath the surface. With a final look back at the pool, the group knew that their lives had been changed forever. What had started as an ordinary afternoon had blossomed into something extraordinary, thanks to a dog and a box that held the secrets of the past. And in that moment, they understood something important. Sometimes, the most surprising adventures find you when you least expect them. As the last rays of sunlight disappeared behind the horizon, they walked away with a sense of fulfillment, knowing that they had been a part of something bigger than themselves. And in their hearts, they would always remember the dog that had brought them together, the dog that had changed everything.